Hello and welcome to Boomer Live. We are back again to talk about cricket. We are taking a slight break on cricket. We are focusing on football, but we are back again. For India, the series is on. They're not out of it because it's 2-1. India has won today, and India has won today quite comfortably, one must say. And on the other hand, it is England who has chased down some mammoth total on the final day. We did speak about England before this era actually begun, and we did say that this era is going to be something you will be all entertained by under Ben Stokes and Brendan Beckham. And it's proving all of us correct actually at this very point that it is an entertaining brand of cricket what they are playing in test cricket as well. They just carried on from where they left off in the white ball to the red ball as well. The transition seems exactly what test cricket needs at this very point for English cricket. And first up, let's speak. And also Sri Lanka, Australia is also going on the other side. So Sandipani is with me. Welcome Sandipani on the show. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good with all the cricket going on. It's been a good ride, and especially tonight's win for India. It will do a great deal to a lot of things. I think mainly it will do a great deal to Rishabh Pant's confidence. I
Right.
think over the past two games, we have been a bit critical about Rishabh Pant, and Rishabh Pant will have been feeling the pressure because he was employing all these crazy tactics, out of the box thinking, which was just not working for him. And in the last game as well, I think Bhuvneshwar Kumar bowled one of the best spells in
Right.
T20 cricket, and they still managed to lose because when it was needed to apply pressure, he was employing his fifth bowling option of Akshar Patel and Hardik Pandya to come in and get those overs out. I think that backfired. But tonight we saw a much clinical performance, get runs on the board.
Yeah.
I think they will be a bit disappointed ending at only 179,
Mm.
given the fact they were 120 for one at the end of 12 overs. I think
Yeah.
at least 215,
But
220
I
would have
thought
been.
the pitch was such that the start is what mattered in that pitch, and that's what India exactly got. With Ishan Kishan, Ruturaj Gaikwad, they just got India off to a flyer. One might say that India might have collapsed in between, but no, not really, because the pitch was holding on quite a bit. It was gripping for the spinners. It was even if you are hitting the hard legs, it was tough to get away as well. That's one of the reasons why you saw whichever batsman who was coming into the crease were struggling quite a bit, and even the finishers couldn't get going. And Hardik Pandya in that particular phase played a decent knock of 30 odd, and you have to give credit for him as well because it wasn't easy time at all. He got a reprieve for sure when his catch was dropped on one, when he was just batting on one, his catch was dropped. From there on to carry on to score that 30 odd also proved to be very, very crucial in this particular pitch, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was a very crucial knock given the circumstance because none of the other batsmen were finding it easy coming
Yeah,
in right up. Shreyas Iyer, I think it was very good captaincy from Bavuma. He realized that the spinners are the ball is eventually holding up, so he ended up bowling some Shamshi for that 13th and 15th over, and I think that was the turnaround. Basically,
yeah,
Shreyas Iyer's wicket, and then brilliant bowling from Dwayne Pretorius, bowling according to a plan. We have seen that outside the off stump, they have caused a lot of problems for the left-handers, especially Rishabh Pant. But tonight it was Ishan Kishan who fell for that trap. That deep extra cover fielder was set. They were bowling those slower outside off stump, fuller deliveries, and it was bound to happen. Um so I think it was very good captaincy, good plan execution. Uh, Continued with followed with some assistance from the pitch that
yeah.
did not allow India to get that acceleration right at the end. But I think 179 at this pitch, they would have been happy. If you would have asked me at the start, they would have been happy with 160, 170. They got 179. I think it was good enough for them. And tonight, especially, I think the usage of the bowlers from Rishabh Pant was way more clinical than in the past two games. He, even though he tonight also he employed some of made some of those crazy calls, bringing in Chahal for that one over in the power play. But then you have to realize when they were getting those wickets, they brought in those attacking bowlers. There was Harshal Patel coming in, Yuzvendra
Yeah.
Chahal coming in, Avesh Khan bowling in the middle overs. That
Yeah.
allowed them to build the pressure, continue
Sure.
maintaining the pressure.
Another facet which I really liked a lot from Rishabh Pant's captaincy or from the team management is that they stuck to that 11. They lost those couple of games, but then they didn't tinker with the 11. They just backed this 11 to go out there and perform. And that's what you want in international cricket, right? You cannot judge a player by a couple of performances. You cannot judge the quality of player with the kind of failures he has, because you know the potential he has. That's the reason why he's selected to represent your country. And Ruturaj Gaikwad is a prime example. You know, he did fail in the couple of occasions in the series. He's never gotten that longer rope. Every time he's gotten a rope, it's been those couple of games. And it's never easy for a player to come into the international setup and start scoring from game one. And this series was just going to be one of the make or break series for him. And they gave him that extra bit of rope to go out there and bat and express himself. And that's exactly what he did today. And same thing with the bowling lineup as well. And the bowlers, for someone like Yuzvendra Chahal, they knew the potential what he had. People were always calling for Bishnoi to come in. Some of the people wanted Harshal Patel to be dropped to bring in someone like Umran Malik or someone like Arshdeep Singh as well. Same thing with Bhuvneshwar Kumar. Though he had a very good spell, people are still skeptical about him. I do not know why. And same thing with Avesh Khan as well. Today, they all repaid their faith and the confidence what the team management showed in them. And that's what international cricket is all about. You need to build that team. You need to have that confidence in the players, and then they repay your faith. And I was very glad that they stuck onto that same 11, because I couldn't find anything wrong in the 11. There was numerous occasions where the execution did not go right or the calls did not go well in Rishabh Pant's favor. Today, I thought his captaincy was much more composed. He had a better planning in place, which made him to execute that pretty well as well. In the other first couple of games, the planning was all over the place. It was not about the players; it's about how you use these players as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's about the usage of the players. We all know that the team, the squad itself has a lot of depth. So it's not that you will be given all these talents, but you will not know how to utilize them, and that will not help you in being successful. I
Yeah,
think what Rishabh Pant did today was commendable, and I think what the management did with the team selection is commendable too. At the start of this series, I said that this is going to be an experimental series for Team India.
yeah,
All the key players are missing it, and so they might as well try some new faces. If Harshal Patel or somebody like Yuzvendra Chahal or Bhuvneshwar Kumar is dropped in the next game, it will not be for the for the long term. It will be
right.
only because they want to experiment with somebody like Arshdeep Singh, Umran Malik, who has been clocking once crazy speeds at the nets.
Yeah,
And somebody like Ravi Bishnoi to come in and show their potential. Even with the bat, I think going forward, this is the best 11 that they have in the squad. So they are sticking to them for all the crunch games. If India would have lost tonight, I think they would have experimented way more in the last two games.
yeah,
But since India won it, now it's going to be interesting to see whether the bench is given a game. But I feel if you are in Rahul Dravid's shoe, or if you are in the team selection's shoe right now, you will definitely fancy your chances with making some of the changes, because this is the series where they have announced this squad based on their IPL performances, some based
yeah,
on their previous international performances. So it
yeah,
is only reasonable for them to give everyone a go, because even though there is still a long time since the T20 World Cup, till the T20 World Cup, but I would still want all these new faces like Arshdeep Singh, Umran Malik, Ravi Bishnoi to have a taste of international cricket. And
right.
what better way to have it against South Africa in the current form that they are in? I think
Absolutely.
they have been brilliant both with bad ball. But tonight, I think we saw that we have been talking about the batting depth of the South African team. Even
Yeah,
though the pitches were not enough, and sometimes the bowling tactics from India were not enough to expose this to the world. But tonight we saw that how uh, they can really crumble under pressure, because that
absolutely.
batting depth, Pretorius coming in at number 3, and Wayne Parnell coming in at number 7, not just the best 11 they have. And
But
also, I
I
think
think 2 years
the
move at
injuries
number
have been.
two is a good one. I'll still back by it.
No, definitely with the squad they have, I think with once they are deciding to play six bowling options, with Pretorius being the sixth bowling all rounder, I think it's only fair to give him that number 3 slot, because they don't have any choice. If
Yeah,
you ask somebody like a Dwayne Pretorius to come in at number 6 and finish games for you, it's just not fair to them to Wayne Parnell to come in at number 6, or Dwayne Pretorius to come
right,
in at 6-7 and finish
right.
the job for them. And also, I think they have been hit by a couple of misfortunes. De Kock is not playing. Aiden Markram is not playing. Two of the more players that were in excellent form coming into this series. So
Right.
I think that has been also a reason. And I think Babuma's form with the bat. I get it. In the second T20, he got that 30-33 runs, played that anchor's role for a time period.
Yeah.
But he has not been doing anything with the bat. I think it's just his captaincy that has been prompting the selectors to carry on with him.
I
And
mean, he's done
and
a decent
honestly,
job
I
as a
feel
captain.
yeah, I will be a bit critical in saying, but honestly, I feel Temba Bavuma is much more suited uh, to the longest format of the game rather than the ODI and the T20 format.
But at
Because
this
there
very
is some,
point, South Africa needs a captain, and Temba Bavuma has been doing a very good job as a captain. He's very resilient
yeah,
as a captain, and he has a lot of tactical mindset as well. Where astuteness and tactics is something which we all appreciate in captains across all formats, and especially in T20 cricket, you need the astute brain, astute mindset to go out there and ploy your plans to execution to really good wellness as well. And Temba Bavuma has shown that temperament in doing that. Timberman has shown that how he can build this team. Timberman has also shown that he can carry this team forward, because there was this brief phase in which South Africa were struggling in all the three formats, and especially in the white ball format as well. They weren't really getting off the mark. They weren't getting those wins. And right now, if you look in the last 1 year, they've been getting some big wins, and especially in T20 World Cup, which they did not qualify for the semi-final, but they had a very good run in the T20 World Cup as well. And T20 World Cup was in alien conditions. One would say it was UAE. It was not going to favor South Africa, but then you have to give credit to the Rabada, the Nokia, the way in which these people came into the fore. Aiden Markram is not yet at the end of the squad, but I believe once he also comes, this squad will look even more stronger.
yeah, definitely. I think Aiden Markram has been a key asset for South Africa in the middle order. The sooner they realize that Aiden Markram will do them a heap of good in the middle order, they immediately employed it, and I think that was a very wise call to one of the key shuffles that they needed, because Aiden Markram was clearly struggling at the top in the longest format in the ODIs. But once he has been coming at number 4, number 5, he has looked more stable, more solid batsman. We have seen the full array of somebody like Aiden Markram. And talking about captaincy, I think Bavuma has done a splendid job, because once he was handed the captaincy, I think the team was in disarray. A lot of controversies regarding the board and
Yeah,
the relationship between the board and players. A lot of controversy regarding a lot of early retirements. Players were retiring left, right, and center. They did not have enough to sort of last. We could have easily seen the part that some team like Sri Lanka that has taken. Like we could have
yeah,
easily seen that downfall from somebody like a South Africa, but they have managed to keep their fortress. They have managed to pick up a lot of crucial wins over the past year, especially against India. They have always had the upper hand against India, and I think you have to credit the definitely the vice captain, the team management, and definitely all these crucial bowlers for them. Henrik
yeah.
Nokia, rightly
I mean, I
mentioned.
think Mark Boucher's
Uh,
done a very good job as a coach. Mark
yeah,
Boucher
Mark
has,
Boucher, Charles Langeveld, they were brilliant players in their times, and I
yeah,
think it's just the right way to go about it. I think the some of the tactical decisions that they make, some of the calls that they make, we were often criticizing them over picking somebody like a Marco Jansen for the Test series against India, but
yeah,
eventually, as it turned out, Marco Jansen was a brilliant find. He was
yeah.
picked ahead.
He was a turning point, one could say. So he was
Yeah,
that
one would say.
player who
So they
changed
have
the
made certain calls. Yeah, they have made certain calls that we have questioned, but it has all turned out well for them. That's
absolutely.
been the factor that has kept them going, because whatever calls they are making, that has been turning out to be successful. Same is the case with Bavuma. I think some of the tactical calls today, even in the field, one might argue that Anvik Norke did not bowl out his quota of 4 overs, but then again they ended the innings off brilliantly. They
Yeah.
knew exactly when to use which bowler. Not what we have been able to say for what we have been able to say for Rishabh Pant,
I mean,
definitely.
Rishabh
But
Pant, yeah, we need to give him the leeway as well. He's just new to international cricket. That's one leverage what we give him. But one thing which really baffled me was he was not learning from the mistakes he was committing in the IPL to the international cricket as well. Because IPL, yeah, you would say it's a second season, first season. He had a very good team. This was the first season in which he was tested. And he made some calls which was quite baffling. And you would give him the leverage again because that team was COVID hit and a lot of things were not going in their favor. But now, if you talk about international cricket, you cannot carry on the mistakes, right? For example, not bowling on Yuzvendra Chahal in the first T20I, or not bringing in the right ballers at the right time. And when South Africa were 33 for 3, not applying enough pressure on them. So these are some of the most baffling mistakes as a captain when you make it. It becomes even more evident. It becomes even more visible for others to criticize at them. And I thought the first couple of matches you just give him the leverage, but third match was where he was going to be tested because the series was on the line. You had to win this match to keep the series alive. But now, even though he has not won the series, just one match, you've got two more matches to play, two important matches as well. You have to win the next match and the next match, so the momentum needs to be on your side as well. And South Africa had a very good side. It'll be very interesting to see how this Indian team changes as well. So far, the tosses haven't gone in India's favor. If we look at that entirety, I hope that now India gets a chance to chase and see how this batting lineup responds to that.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting to see how the batting lineup responds to the pressure that was built. But I think for Rishabh Pant, I think he'll be very relieved to get this first win under his belt. This will do a great deal to his confidence. I think even with his batting form, I think he has been struggling in the last two games. The first game he played a good cameo, but in the
Yeah,
last two games he hadn't been going when the team needed him to go. And he has been falling prey to all those outside of off stump bowling,
yeah,
that channel of bowling where they are bowling it full outside off stump, asking him to hit them over extra cover, over covers. So I think
yeah,
that tactic has been working really well for South Africa. It will be interesting to see how he sort of counters it.
yeah,
And that's about it. I think we'll have to see how they go in the fourth one, because it's just the first win. I think South Africa is going to come back stronger. I think there will be some changes in that 11. Definitely South Africa does not need those six bowling options, because
yeah,
once there is Riza Hendricks, I think the role of Keshav Maharaj is not justified. And whenever Keshav is coming into ball, I told this in the first after the first game as well. Even though he bowled well in the second game, picked up a couple of wickets, but again today he went for a lot of runs. It's just that they are targeting him well, really well. He's bowling well to the right handers, but Ishan Kishan in particular has been picking him out. And
yeah.
somebody like a Rishabh Pant in the last game, he bowled really well to him. In the very first ball, Rishabh Pant tried to hoik him and was dismissed. But I think the left-handers in general will have a liking towards
I mean,
Keshav Maharaj.
the thing is that left arm spinners nowadays in T20 cricket are not surviving as much as a mystery bowler or as an off spinner as well, because left arm spinners they just have one variation. Even their arm ball is not a ball who's going to do a lot to a left hander. So the ball coming into the left hander, the left handers really enjoy it a lot more than even the right handers, I would say.
Yeah, it's
That's one
interesting
of the
that you
reasons
bring
why
that
left
up.
arm spinners are targeted. Yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up, because clearly Ravindra Jadeja, Akshar Patel, some of the class bowlers from India, these left arm bowlers. You might argue that Akshar Patel has not played a lot of T20 international cricket, but he has been a now we can even call him a experienced player at the IPL. He has played for 6 7
yeah,
seasons,
yeah.
so he has been struggling with the ball. The latest reason is Ravindra Jadeja. He has been struggling with the ball. The only way left-handers have been successful is if they are bowling to right-handers, and if they're just bowling those darty arm balls, which is just coming into, and the pitch is sort of assisting
I
them.
mean, you will see a phase where left arm spinners will be totally vanished, totally taken away from T20 cricket as well. It's not too far away because, there's of course a tactical calls where once a left arm spinner is bowling, you send in a left hander to take him on. And with Akshar Patel as well, you saw in the last couple of games where David Miller was sent out to take Akshar Patel on, and Akshar Patel did not prove anything good for India because he was failing to deceive or he was failing to control or keep David Miller in check. That's where Akshar Patel was found out by David Miller, and his variations also was tested. But going ahead, I believe left arm spinners will need to develop some bit of variations. Let it be a carom ball, let it be some kind of the change in crease, using the depth of the crease, changing your angles a lot more. But or else it's going to be a very tough game for left arm spinners, especially against a left hander. But against the right hand, of course, they're a good
Yeah.
tactical call. Left arm bowler to a right hand batsman. But then even when you say that, every team has now got at least two left-handers in their top six, and India also have got now two left-handers in their top six, especially in this series at least. And now it shows how important it is to have a left-hander as well, because in order to counter these kind of left-arm spinners, you need to send out a left-hand batsman. It just could be a tactical call just to send in a left-hand batsman just to counter these bowlers. So that's why I find these calls and these matchups to be very important going ahead in T20 cricket. You really see this more and more. You will see a right hand batsman walking in for a off spinner, left hand batsman walking in for a left hand. You're already seeing that. So you're going to be having players batting playing switch hits more often as well to control or to go against a wrist spinner, because wrist spinners do find it very difficult once the batsman tries to change their grip and goes over the point or goes over square leg quite often, because then the lines change. Then you have to control yourself. That you have seen with Glenn Maxwell as well. Glenn Maxwell has been able to counter leg spin pretty well this last couple of seasons, because his switch hits has been quite prominent with him, and his switch hits have been coming out quite effectively as well. So that's one of the reasons you are going to see in T20 cricket more of these matchups coming into play, and matchups will be the deciding factor in deciding some of the big games as well. And today you saw one of the reasons how Ishan Kishan was taking on Keshav Maharaj, and our Rishabh Pant was sent to take on someone like a Keshav Maharaj as well.
Yeah, definitely. In the near future, having said all this, I think in the near future we are not going to see, even if the left arm spinners are playing. I think we are not going to see them complete their quota of 4 overs on most of the days, and that is all the more reason why the T20 teams, they are focusing more on left arm. If you are going to play a left arm spinner, it has to be a all rounder, because if they can't contribute with the bat and they are not bowling their quota of 4 overs, I think that slot is just not justified, in my opinion. So I think South Africa will. They have given Keshav Maharaj 3 games. He
Yeah,
has done fairly well. We can't criticize him. South Africa have won two of the 3 games, and Maharaj has picked up 3 or 4 wickets in the 3 games, which is a splendid job if you consider somebody like playing against some team like in India, where somebody like a Tabriz Shamsi has managed to pick up just the 1 wicket this series.
right.
So I think he has done a very good job, but it's just that the matchups are not working for him. Ishan Kishan has been taking on Maharaj for good now, and I
Right.
think they are going to they might as well strengthen their batting, because we saw how that can be the weaker suit out of the two. Definitely, the batting is the weaker suit for South Africa. We did not realize that in the last 2 games, because Henrik Klaasen played one of the brilliant knocks in T20 you will ever see. In the
Right.
last game, the pitch was holding up. He just took on the bowlers, took on the spinners, took on the pacers. He just had a field day in the last game. And in the first game, South Africa managed to chase down 215 in what was an improbable chase, chasing down 120 in the last 8 overs with 1 overs left, like 1 overs in hand. It was an unbelievable feat. I think India took it a bit lightly. They were sort of thinking that they had the game in the bank, and they just grew a bit complacent. And some of the bowling choices we have already said talked about it.
Truly.
But let's see, 2 more games to go. India can still make a comeback. They have started their comeback. It will
Yeah.
be interesting to see whether they
And now
can
all of a
achieve.
sudden the chinks in the South African armor is pretty exposed, and now you're going to find a lot of questions which South Africa has to answer as well, especially when it comes to their batting depth, and when it comes to how are they going to approach with their opening combinations as well, because Quinton de Kock is also not there, and Aiden Markram, because these two players are such vital players for their team and their team's success as well. If you look at the last 1 year in T20 cricket. Moving from South Africa was India, let's shift focus to one of the best test matches which has taken place in the recent times is England versus New Zealand. We did speak about them in brief when we started off the show, but what it says was to chase on 299 on the last day, where they were 7 down. New Zealand was 7 down, setting up the target for England. But then it was pretty clear from England that they were going to go for the win, and they did go for the win in quite a big fashion, because Johnny Bairstow just was playing like he was just carrying on from IPL, or he was just carrying on from where he left off in one-day cricket, because it was a typical English chase in a white ball format, which they just shifted to red ball format, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. 136 of 92 at Trent Bridge from Johnny Bairstow is something we have seen from him in a lot of times in the ODI format, and he has been a key player for England in the last 3-4 years. Not just for England, for any franchise that he plays for, even for Sunrisers Hyderabad, he was a very key member. And it's very good to see somebody like a Ben Stokes coming to form. We always knew with Brendan McCullum as the coach, even though England had lost 4 for 93, we always knew they were going to go for that 299. If they would have lost another wicket, if either of Ben Stokes or Johnny Bairstow would have got out and Folks would have come in, I think they would have reapplied themselves and played out 15-20 overs, and then see
Yeah.
what they could have done in the last session, because they wouldn't have risked losing this game. But with Brendan McCullum as their head coach and Ben Stokes as their captain, they were always going to go for it. And it's not that New Zealand declared, they were all out for
Yeah.
284. They were trying to after scoring
Trust me,
550
on a
odd.
large day wicket, in anywhere in
Yeah.
the world, you would say 299 is a very good score. But this team has made a mockery out of that total because they chased down in a very brisk rate. And let's say Ben Stokes scored at 75 of 70 balls, 136 of 92 by Johnny Bairstow, taking the New Zealand bowlers on that last day wicket. It was something very special. You hadn't seen that earlier in Test cricket. Now, my question is this setting up a precedence? Is this the beginning of a new brand of cricket which they're going to be setting? They already set a brand of cricket in white ball format. Now other teams are going to follow this brand of cricket as well because now they're going to be like swinging conditions, whatever it is. Let's go hell for leather. Let's put the bowling team on the back foot because runs are going to come at a brisk rate, and whatever it is going to be, it's going to be a bonus for us, isn't it?
I think India has laid the foundation after that Brisbane test, after the test at Gabba, chasing down 320 odd runs in the last day. But after that, there was a one year, 2 3 months, 4 months, 5 6 months gap before this game, and England just see if chasing 300 on a last day track was possible in any of the pitches, it has to be in either England or in Australia, because you won't be having you won't be able to chase 300 on the last day unless you're playing at a flat deck in Pakistan or a very flat deck in West Indies. Other than that, I think in India or in any other Asian conditions, or in the Caribbean, in any other place, or in Australia, you'll find it very difficult to chase down 300. But the pitches in England, we have seen that even the batters have got some assistance later on in the fourth day, fifth day of a test match. We saw that innings from KL Rahul and Rishabh Pant. They almost chased down 400 on the
Yeah.
last day.
Was it on the
So,
same
so
ground? Was it
yeah, I
on
think
Trent?
it was on Trent Bridge only.
I think it was on the Oval or Trent Bridge. I'm not
Yeah,
getting it, but
either
it
Oval or
was,
Trent
it
Bridge.
was almost
But
similar. Yeah.
yeah, the England pitches have been, apart from Lords, the England pitches have been really helpful for the batsmen on the fourth and fifth days, especially if you are getting flat tracks on the first and second days. This was more on the flatter side, because we saw two teams scoring 550 and 539 respectively in their first innings, and clearly after both the teams had combinedly scored close to 1100 in a test, you don't expect the test to reach a result. And I think kudos should go to England. James Anderson, Potts, Stuart Broad, brilliant bowling, brilliant intent to get that New Zealand side out. I think there was some really suicidal running from New Zealand in the second innings. They
Yeah.
lost 2 or 3 wickets run out. I think that will prove to be fatal in the end. And they had England on their on they had England on the brinks of defeat. I mean, 93 for 4 at 25 overs. You don't expect the team to go on and chase down to 299,
I
almost
mean, I
300 in
never
50
thought
overs.
New Zealand would lose this match after the first innings batting, which they did. There was some
Yeah,
brilliant knocks by Daryl Mitchell. Some brilliant batting out there from New Zealand at large, I would say. But from there on, England had a task in their hands to even come close to their total and actually even to draw the match. But now to get a result out of it, it's just brilliant because it just speaks volumes about the mindset. It just speaks volumes of how important Test cricket it is to take the matches on to the fifth day as well. You saw an era, you saw a brief phase where the test matches were in England were getting over in 3.5 days, 2.5 days, 3 days at max. Four, if the matches go to a 4 day evening, it's actually a great achievement. Now the match is going to the last session of the fifth day, getting a result out of that, is just brilliant. And even the last match you saw, England chasing that 260 odd, and when they were in actual big trouble when they were 60 odd for four. From there on, Joe Root played that brilliant knock. But we have to talk about Joe Root as well, right? Because he played a brilliant knock in the first innings of the test match. Because test matches are never won in the second innings. It's won over the course of 5 days with whatever batting performances you do. Let's speak about Joe Root, the batter, because now he's relieved of captaincy duties. He's batting as more as a free player. He's getting the strokes going. He does not have a lot to think. And he's batting on a different planet altogether. We always speak about batsmen's prime, and you really reckon this is prime, isn't it?
yeah, definitely. This is Joe Root's prime. He has been in his prime since January of 2021. This is one of those periods for purple patches periods for him where he has been scoring runs in every innings. He had a rare failure in the second innings, but barring that, I think he has been scoring runs in every match for England. Even in this game, he scored close to 200. aggregately.
Yeah.
Even in the first game, he has been scoring close to 100, almost in the range of 100 to 200 in almost every test matches since 2021. That's been a huge key to success for England's. One might say this is a renaissance for them after some of the key players retired from their side. They had a lot of key retirements, most of their bowlers, not most of their bowlers, James Anderson and Stuart Broad are in the twilight of their career. So they are going to see some more setbacks in the bowling department, and they have seen a lot of setbacks in on the injury front. A
Yeah.
lot of bowlers have missed it. A lot of batsmen have missed it. They haven't find that right opening combination. They haven't find somebody to support Joe Root throughout the innings. But I think Ben Stokes has been doing a very good job in England whenever they are playing test matches in England. I think Ben Stokes has been doing a very good job along with Joe Root. And there is also innings, some spectacular innings that we'll get to see from somebody like Oli Pope or somebody like Johnny Bairstow, like we saw in this game. But you have to hand it out to, you have to feel for Daryl Mitchell. Mitchell has been having a dream kind of a series.
Yeah.
I think he scored two half centuries in the last one, a
Yeah.
century and a half century in this one, and he was not out in the last second innings as well. So I think he averages close to 130,
I think
140.
he fits in brilliantly into that Ross Taylor shoes, isn't it? This very point, because definitely there was a huge void when Ross Taylor retired from Test cricket, and it's never easy to fill a player of his stature. But then Darren Mitchell, with the kind of form he's showing, he's just fitting into that role quite perfectly at this very point.
Yeah, definitely. Even though Will Young got had a good game tonight, and Henry Nichols sort of came back to form. Not came back to form, came back to the team after injury. He got two sort of good innings. The first one was not good enough. He scored some 30 in the second innings, but you have to. I'm still not happy with Devon Conway not opening the innings for them. I
Right.
think Devon Conway is best suited to open an innings in the white ball format, not in the wide, in the longer format of the longest format of the game. Even in the white ball format, I think in every format, Devon Conway is best suited to open the innings.
Yeah.
They are trying somebody like a Will Young, which is good, but I think they can persist with Devon Conway and Tom Latham as their openers and fit in Darren Mitchell at number 4. There is Henry Nichols at 5, and Kane Williamson can easily come in and fit at number 3. There will be Tom Blundell has had a brilliant series as well, a
Yeah.
century in the first innings, a very good knock in the second innings of the last test. So I think all in all, it has been there has been a lot of positives from out of this New Zealand side, but they have just not been able to finish the games. They have played well for 4.5 days, but it's just that on that last session or the last 2 3 sessions, England has been taking the game away from them.
True.
So it's been an even contest, but that's what it happens in sports. I
I
think
mean, yeah,
another series.
if you look at the scoreline of the series, you would just say that England has steamrolled New Zealand. But
Yeah.
then the series has been contested even more evenly than ever. And it's very good to see England winning it. You can say it's at home. And because you are celebrating this victory even more because of the kind of situation English cricket were in, especially the Test cricket were in the last couple of years. They were not winning even at home. They were losing matches quite consistently on a trot. But other than that, there's nothing exceptional about it because definitely you would want someone like in England to win when they start matches at their home, and that's one of their backyards. They have been having very good record at home over the last 1 decade, but in the recent past they haven't been doing well, and right now they are getting back on track slowly. Still, the test is yet to be done. Their biggest test is going to be if they travel to subcontinent, especially to countries like Pakistan.
Yeah.
How they're going to be able to cope up with the spin over there? How are they going to cope up with the conditions? Because I reckon they've got a series in Pakistan at the end of this year, and how are they going
But
to come back?
Pakistan ground staff have to definitely improve that pitch. I think with the flat tracks that they are playing on, we are going to see no result in the test series. It's
Yeah.
going to be draw in all the
I
games.
think it should come from the management as well. If they really want to pull out results, you don't want it to get backfired like it happened with Australia for them. Even against Australia,
Yeah.
they pulled out some really good flat surfaces, but on that wicket, who had the better bowling attack? It was always Australia. Australia was the only bowling attack who could penetrate through, and that's exactly what happened. Pakistan were found wanting, and Australia not even get tested in their batting front at any stage. And it was a plan which backfired for Pakistan. And though the matches went to the fifth day, to the last session with all the three results possible, but some of the matches were really boring. You just knew that there was not going to be any result even in the second day of the match because it was as flat as it could ever get. But you
The
know,
only way we are going to see a result is if both the teams decide to declare one of their innings.
yeah, true,
I
true.
think, yeah. So I
And
think definitely they have to improve their pitches, because we have been seeing their batters, somebody like a Imamul Haq, Babar Azam, Asad Ali, scoring lots and lots of runs in their home conditions. But
right,
you have to realize that the pitches are not competitive enough. I'm sorry
right,
to say, not competitive enough is the word, because the bowlers are finding it very difficult to. Some of the best bowlers in the world, Pat Cummins, Mitchell Stark, they were really struggling.
right,
And even Pakistan, if you talk about Pakistan, they have one of the best bowling sides, one of the best pace attacks in the world right now. Uh,
right.
Somebody like a Shaheen Shah Afridi at his prime can. There is Hassan Ali and Harris Roth. There is a lot of talent in that pool. Abbas. There have been a lot of good pacers for Pakistan, but they were not able to pick up any wickets.
Yeah.
Just goes on to show that the pitches are just not good enough.
Absolutely. I mean, with the talent they have, I believe that they should be challenging the teams who are coming in. And you want a good sporty deck. It does not mean you provide a flat deck. You need an even contest between bat and ball. You don't want a contest where only bat dominates or only ball dominates. You want that contest where the ballers also get to dominate. The batsmen are tested, then the batsmen get to play their shots, and then the ballers are going to be tested with their skill. Talking about that, we're going to move into the southern part. It is Sri Lanka taking on Australia in the first one day. The match is quite evenly poised at this very point. As I see the scores, then Australia 19 to win of 17 balls with 2 wickets remaining. Glenn Maxwell is not out in the crease. What do you make of this game, and where do you think this game is going to head? I reckon it's
We
Australia's
are
game.
having a cracker. We are having a cracker thanks to rain, because I
Yeah,
think if there would have been no rain, I think Australia would have easily got to the target of 300. And they wouldn't have gone too hard at it. But 44 overs, 282 needed. It's a challenging total, and especially because they have been losing wickets at regular intervals. If you see
right.
that none of the Australian batters have really gone on to score big. Aaron Finch got a start. Steven Smith scored a half century, got out. Marcus Stoinis scored 44. Only
Yeah.
Glenn Maxwell has been the hope for them, and he has hit two consecutive boundaries at the start of the 42nd over right now. So there is hope for Australia. Unless they lose a wicket, I think they are going to
It'll be
easily
very interesting
get
to see
the result.
if Maxwell gets out here or if Jair Richardson gets out here. How
If
Australia will
anybody
do.
gets out right now, it is going to be very difficult, especially because I think they can, I think, bowl another over from Mahish Thikshana. Thikshana
Right,
has another over up his sleeve. Hasaranga was again brilliant, picked up 4 wickets.
right.
I don't know what is it with Hasaranga. He manages to pick up 3 4 wickets in every game.
I mean, the funny part, not the funny part, the greater news for Sri Lanka is that he's come good with the bat as well, and he's
Yeah,
had a
that
great
cameo.
over today.
Yeah. That cameo of 30 odd runs really helped them to get that total of 300, which was really challenging. I think, again, on the Sri Lankan side as well, Gunatilaka, who has been a terrible player for Sri Lanka in the T20 international format, has done a very good, decent job for Sri Lanka in the ODI format. You have to be clear, I'm not criticizing him for the batsman he is in the ODI format. He averages close to 35, 40. I'm okay with it. But in the T20 format, he's just averaging 17, 18. It's been 40, 45 games. Just get rid of him
I mean, I
already.
also like the way how Kushal Mendes is coming back into the form because Kushal
Yeah,
Mendes is a very good
thankfully
talent.
for Kusal Mendes. I think it's thankfully for Kusal Mendes, because they have stuck to Kusal Mendes after his knock against India in the 2017 Champions Trophy. I think
Yeah.
we have come a long way from there. We have stick to him for 5 years. We haven't seen any knock of substantial quality where he have scored 120, 130. He has got this 50, 60,
You know,
70
when
runs.
he came into the fore, when he came into the arena of international cricket, everybody rated him so highly. You know, he was having this particular stature in school cricket and domestic Sri Lankan cricket about the kind of talent he has. People were comparing him with great Mahela Jayawardene as well. So everybody
Yeah.
knew the talent he has, but he was never able to deliver. And he had some serious technical flaws when it came to the red ball format, and he was getting exposed with it. And whenever the team was traveling overseas as well, but I still thought, he's got the talent. It was just about nurturing him, developing him a little bit more. And sometimes when these kind of players do well, you genuinely feel happy for him. Today's knock was so important for them because after they lost that T20 series, the last match, I thought just gave them that extra bit of push. It was
Yeah.
some
I think
crazy
we
chase
have to talk about
versus
that
Sri
last
Lanka.
match. We have to talk about that last match. World record broken, especially after I criticized Dasun Shanaka for not finishing the job for Sri Lanka enough. He just came out. He just proved a point to me. I think finishing off 59 in the last 3 overs. I think.
Absolutely. I mean, that was one crazy chase. It just reminded me of Russell. One of the IPL knocks he played against
Yeah.
RCB where they needed 60 odd to win and he played that. But just to pull that off, even in the last over, you would definitely give Australia a chance. It was against a really good bowler as well. It's not against, he was not a part timer or something. He's a genuine quality death bowler who he was facing in the last over, trying to score the 19 runs of the last over. It was some brilliant bit of batting. It was one of the best T20 finishes you will see in the recent past in
Yeah.
international cricket as well. And I thought that game just gave them an extra bit of momentum to do even well. Today's game, it just looks like Australia might just take away from them. But 12 required of 12 balls, maybe a wicket could possibly give us a cracker of a finish from here on.
Yeah, it's difficult to say. It's still not in Australia's kitty yet, but they are more likely to finish it off like 12 of 12, 2 wickets in hand, and I don't think that pitch has enough to offer for the bowlers unless Maxwell sort of they have an unfortunate run out or Maxwell sort of loses it and tries to clear the boundary and gets out in the process. I think this should be a chase that they should win.
I mean,
Having said that, I think again, yeah,
yeah, I
again
mean,
coming back to that
obviously,
point,
is so important here, I feel.
yeah, but will they give? Has Thikshana come into bowl?
It's
I
Chamira was coming to ball, so
Yeah, so I don't think Thikshana is going to bowl out his quota of 8 overs. I think the last he has bowled his quota of 8 overs. I think one bowler, four bowlers are allowed to bowl 9 overs. I guess because
as we
if
speak,
44 overs,
Maxwell has launched a six, and he has definitely brought the scoring rate down to it's actually now five required of
yeah,
10.
yeah, yeah, I think it's over
So I
now.
think it's pretty much
Uh,
over.
Yeah, Chamira, and I think even if it goes down to the last over, I think Villalage will come into bowl, and
Yeah.
I think Australia will fancy their chances against a pacer. I
I mean,
think
unless
they,
the wicket falls here, if Maxwell gets out in the next couple of balls, then anything can
yeah,
happen. But
Chamira to a tail ender will be interesting to see, but I think Villalage is just not that experienced enough to get them that wicket. I probably a run out here or there because the batsman will be fidgety as well, and not to forget the batsmen are Jai Richardson, and if a wicket falls, Hazelwood, two of the
yeah,
bowlers that had bowled the last 3 overs. I think it was Hazelwood, Richardson, and Kane Richardson.
and the match is over. I think it's a six.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a
It's a
six.
six. It's a six, and the game
Yeah,
is
so
over.
typical Maxwell.
It's
Typical
typical
Maxwell finish.
Maxwell. And Maxwell has a very good record against Sri Lanka, mind you. He's a very good record in
Yeah,
T20
yeah,
and
yeah. The
one day cricket
average is
against
close to
Sri Lanka.
70.
And yeah,
Has
it
that
was a good finish.
international T20I score of 145 not out against Sri Lanka, I guess.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as a RCB fan, I'm generally happy because all the RCB lads like Vanendu Hasaranga, Glenn Maxwell are doing well. And let's skip the
Yeah,
IPL
it's
away.
a
Let's
long
just talk
time
about
till the next IPL. We just had the broadcast rights being sold.
Oh yeah, we'll
So
definitely be bringing that tomorrow. IPL is always on when it's even not on, when it's not being played. So that's the magnitude of IPL. Huge news for India. IPL has become the second most lucrative, richest league when it comes to the media rights in the world. Just behind NFL, IPL the media rights has been sold for 48.36 crores. Whoa, 48.36 K crores. Let me mention that. It's close to 110 or 115 crores per game. It's a huge amount. As I'll just give you a brief, the media rights of television has been won by Star India, Disney Star. The digital rights has been won by Viacom with Geo, and the digital right, the third, the package C, which is non-exclusive games, 18 non-exclusive games, also has been won by Viacom. And then you had the overseas rights, which has been won by Times Group and by Mena as well. So it's a very good day at the office for BCCI and for IPL and the ecosystem of cricket in India at large, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah, I think it's a very good news for BCCI in particular. Not just BCCI. I think whoever loves cricket in India, it's a good news for them. They can this time around the IPL is going to be much bigger. We did not know that we could say this, associate this term much bigger in terms of IPL because we have had some mammoth tournaments in the past. But the coming tournament, I think it's going to be a long one, a mammoth one, a lot of viewership. We are going to get to see a lot of viewership, a
Yeah.
lot of players for this fantasy sports. I think fantasy sports has been growing.
Yeah,
growing very steadily in India in particular. So
yeah.
all in all, it's a very good sign for all the cricket fans, cricket lovers, BCCI, Saurav Ganguly. He had
So he'll be pretty
sort of,
happy alongside Jay Shah as well because under their tenure they've been able to crack this big deal, and now from
yeah,
here on, as we are hearing, Jay Shah has confirmed that from 2023 window IPL is going to be having a 2.5 month cycle. So that's a big window. That's I think that's as big as an international team's window. If you look at throughout the year, they don't play for 2.5 months on a consistent basis, but 2.5 months is a huge window. So which really means IPL is the biggest deal in the world when it comes to cricket ecosystem at least, and all the
yeah,
players across the world wants to be part of it. They'll be the biggest brands as well around the world. They all want a piece of it. And you need to remember, this IPL is only 15 years old, and you're already seeing them at the top of the list with some of the 100-year-old leagues and some of the biggest leagues who have made the name over the last 3 or 4 decades. And that's one of the reasons why you're feeling that this is going to be the biggest brand in sporting
yeah,
culture, if you look at it in another 10 years. And it has already become one, but another 10 years time you're going to see all the biggest investors across the world coming into this. And one might say from the old school that IPL might just take over international cricket, but we are definitely heading towards that direction. The market is in play, the business are involved, and sporting, if you took it from the marketing side, that side of things as well, people need action, people need good action, and people were all hooked on to IPL. The day IPL got over, you felt that void in you, isn't it? Let it be anybody of us. You all felt that void on the next day of the final. The what is next? The huge
yeah,
festival is over. It's like a kid going back to school, isn't it? After summer vacation is over, it's a similar kind of
yeah.
feeling.
Yeah, it's grown to be the biggest festival in India. We get to enjoy the matches of IPL for almost close to 2 months. We have enjoyed it for 2 months in the last 4 5 years, and whenever IPL is played, especially in the last year when we got two segments of the IPL, the first half being played in not in the last year but in 2020, I guess.
It's 2021, 2021 is this.
2021, yeah. So the last year where KKR, they sort of, yeah, I bring up KKR in every live stream. So they made it to the finals, and we got to see the IPL being broken down to two segments. The first half being in May, June, and the second half being close to October, November. I think, yeah, it was a huge spectacle. It has been a huge spectacle in India, the biggest festival, as I said, because 2 months is a long time. A year where 2 months there is no, almost close to none international cricket, all the international players coming in, all the domestic talents who have done well throughout the year in tournaments like Said Mustaq Ali Trophy, Ranji Trophy, they are getting their chances, their fair share of fame. It's very good to see. It's good for the growth, and all in all, it's a very happy news that we are now the biggest spectacle in cricket, and probably the second biggest spectacle in sporting history, right after NFL. So it's a huge accomplishment, and it's I definitely look forward to IPL next year. It just
I
got
mean,
over,
who
and
doesn't look forward to IPL? The moment the IPL season is over, then there's rights come into play. Then the IPL auction, there's a build up to auction, then there's a build up to season as well.
yeah,
I think my camera has just fallen off just talking about it, but nonetheless, I'll just
yeah,
keep that in check. Yeah, yeah. So I was just saying that
yeah,
the moment every time the IPL season gets over, you're always excited about what is going to happen next. And that's exactly what's been happening over the last 3 4 years, or even the last 1 decade as well. IPL has only gotten bigger to biggest, and now one of the greatest ever sporting spectacle in the world. Now, in another 10 years' time, we do not know where IPL is going to end up. At the end of the 25-year mark of IPL, it might be the biggest thing in sporting culture and the sporting industry as well, from the marketing side of things, from the business side of things, and from a sporting side of things, because the quality of cricket is just top notch. We're not going to compromise. I think the IPL is what it is. It's because of the quality of cricket it provides. That should be the primary thing what we should be talking about. People talk about the business side of things. People talk about the money involved in it. I'm not going to be surprised. Soon we're going to be having players who's going to be sold for 30 crores, and it's going to be a norm in IPL. You shouldn't be surprised with it as well. And nobody will have the right to question as well, because the money inflow is massive. And you're already seeing that in football, and it's going to happen similarly in cricket as well.
yeah, definitely. And I think we have had tournaments which we would have liked it to like extend for over like extended have a extended time period of time, something like a ISL. It was introduced initially for 2 3 months, and then they sort of saw a growth before the COVID hit, and
My
suddenly
my
they
bad. My
Yeah.
webcam is falling
So
off. I think the hook is just broken off. So my webcam is just falling off. I'll just say it. Nonetheless, I think we'll end the live stream on this note because it just
yeah.
seems like nothing is going my way when it comes to my webcam. It was all going well for
No,
45 minutes.
we can just
Webcam
end
is
the note on a positive note. We have criticized Pakistan a lot. We can just praise them because they did manage to win the ODI series 3-0 convincingly against West
yeah,
Indies. And thanks to
yeah,
Shadab Khan bringing in a Islamabad United sort of a performance, doing everything with the
yeah.
bat, everything with the ball.
I
Talking
mean,
about
Shadab
IPL, he
Khan
has been,
is a
yeah,
terrific all rounder. I mean, we have to give credit to Shadab Khan, the player, because
yeah.
he's been an outstanding all rounder for Pakistan. And you know the potential he's got. And he's never delivered in international cricket as you see him in PSL. But, I think with time, you're going to be hearing his name a lot more. He's very young. Let's remember, he's just 23 years old. And I think he's got good amount of cricket left in him.
And I think he has improved his batting by a great deal. Something he's following the career path of somebody like a Ravindra Jadeja, who came in
Yeah,
primarily as a bowler, but as tournaments grew on him in the PSL, particularly on this PSL, he came in at number 4, number 5.
absolutely.
For Islamabad United, and did a spectacular job before he was injured. He did everything with the bat, everything with the ball. Single handedly won Islamabad United a lot of games this season. So I think it's very good to see him replicate that performance for Pakistan. Another clean sweep at home. They are definitely happy.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
and Pakistan white ball cricket has been doing pretty well under Babar Azam as well. And Babar Azam's form with the bat, we did speak about it earlier on, and he's in some really good purple patch as well. Having said that, thank you all for joining. It was a great time talking about cricket. It was Boomer Cricket Talk episode 2, and we'll be coming back again before the next match, and we'll have a lot more to talk about. Hopefully, we'll come back tomorrow to talk about the digital rights, give you a larger depth understanding about how it has been sold and how it is, how many players were involved, and what does it mean to Indian cricket ecosystem at large, and what does it mean to the world cricket as well. We'll be talking in detail about that, so stay tuned for that. So subscribe to our channel, so whenever we go live, so you get all the latest action, what we are going to provide you, and click the bell icon so you get notified as well. And also play our fantasy corners with Boom 11, because there are a lot of cricket games which are going on across the world. Let it be Sri Lanka versus Australia, India versus Africa, New Zealand versus England as well, and a lot more cricket is on the way as well. So play everything with Boom 11. Stay tuned and enjoy all the sporting action with Boom 11 as well. And subscribe to and follow our Instagram page as well, because that's where we'll be providing latest memes and sporting content across the world. Bye bye and take care and good night. Thank you, Sandeep, for joining.
yeah. Thanks for having me. Have a good night.